Well, man, God is doing amazing things here at The Awakening. I'm so glad you took time out to watch this quick video. I won't take long, but I want to encourage you because God has got an army. The Awakening is mobilizing men and women just like you to be part of the army of God and go and take the world by storm. God is pouring out His Spirit, and it's time that we shake off the things of yesterday and wholeheartedly press into the Lord. You know, something I studied about Jesus twice in His ministry, we hear about Him coming in and overturning the tables in the temple for those who sold and were causing His house to be carnally infested with the things of man and the merchandise of man. He did it at the beginning of His ministry. The first prophetic act that He ever committed after He was anointed as prophet was to go in and restore order to the house of God. Jesus was not a revolutionary, He was a reformer. And the last thing He did on His way to the cross was go into the temple and do it one more time. He was cleansing, He was purifying. You know, as men and women of God, we don't need to start a revolution, because in revolution is rebellion. It's time to reform what God has already established and placed in the earth. And it's time that we deal forcibly with sin. I look at Jesus, how He made a whip and He drove out the money changers. He didn't allow them to stay. Something that Jesus did was He never drove people forcibly into His kingdom. He loves us, but He dealt forcibly and drove the sin out. And you and me in our lives, we've got to examine ourselves. We've got to ask God, what are the things that are holding us back from all that He has for us? And we've got to deal forcibly with those things and drive them out of our lives so that the grace of God can come in and give us the ability to do what we could never do before. God's calling you. He's got an army. It's mobilizing. I want to challenge you. Get plugged in with The Awakening. Tell somebody about it. God is doing awesome things here. I need you to spread the word. Get on Facebook, get on Twitter. Tell your neighbors. Tell somebody about what God's doing. Watch. Tune in live every Friday night as we go after it. And if you're in the Charlotte area, be here. Don't make excuses, but be part of what God's doing. If God's blessed you through this ministry, I want to challenge you to give, to sow into the ground that is here as we go and preach the gospel throughout the nations of the world. We're getting ready to go on television in over 150 nations, and God is expanding our borders and horizons, and we're getting ready to take this overseas to continue the ministry God's placed in my life to raise up an end-time army throughout the nations of the world through schools of ministry. So stand with us in prayer, through your financial gifts, and through watching and telling somebody about it. God's counting on you, and I'm asking you to stand with us as we advance the kingdom. We'll see you next week.